In today's edition, we meet Tom McEnery, who has worked with the SMA for over 60 years. Memories of Archbishop Michael Francis by Sr Margaret Kiely. 2 SMA authors launched their latest publications. And finally, a thought-filled poem for Lent.
My name is Tom McEnery. I started to work in Wilton 1965, February 1965. I came here to work on the dairy farm which they had at the time, mostly milking cows. Now it was an extensive farm. There were 300 acres in Ducline and 75 acres in Wilton. I remember this house. It was SMA house, it was called that time, and they had a big farm. And I came to work here in the mid-60s. And in the house that time they kept African students who stayed in the house, went to UCC during the day for their studies and came back here at night then. And it's a very important house to me because it was there I met my late wife who worked here as well at the time, and we got married and had a wonderful life together. My duties were to look after the land. They still had some land left in Wilton, and we had the garden, and we grew potatoes, vegetables, and all those kind of things. There was a big orchard in there, and we picked the apples and stored them for the winter. And then the graveyard, all the priests that died in Ireland were buried in the graveyard here next to the church. And that was one of my toughest jobs, digging the graves. This is the first grave I dug when I came to Wilton, Father Bob O'Leary's, in March 1972. He was actually a neighbour of my own. He just lived a mile away from me at home. And since then I have dug approximately 250 graves here in this cemetery. Where Wilton Shopping Centre is now, I remember cutting corn over there and saving hay, and it would be all brought to the farm here in Wilton for the winter.
How about the wildlife? Is there a lot of wildlife in such a place in the centre of the city?
Well, we have some foxes around at the moment now who are doing a lot of damage, damaging the inside in the tunnel, but they're harmless other than that, but they're around all the time. There are rabbits down there now too, and there are some beautiful birds around. We have lots of pigeons in the loft down there, wild pigeons, but there are some lovely birds around all the time.
Do you still enjoy your work after all the years? Or?
I do, yes. I still enjoy my work. Taking care of the lawns, the graveyard, very important. And everything. I do, I like it. I like it still.
And you've been here a fair long time. Do you expect to retire anytime soon?
I do, hopefully shortly now. I'll know myself when the time will come.
Just want to say, Baba, oh, what I mean is that because I sing it in Yoruba language, and I have to translate it so that you can hear what I sing. Just to thank God for the life of Tom, because 60 years, even by the time he starts working here, I wasn't born by then. So, for God to give him the strength, so, it's not easy for someone to be in a place for 60 years. It's through the grace of God. And we pray that God will continue to strengthen him and be with him all the days of his life.
I loved working with the SMA. They were all so appreciative of everything that was done for them. their needs were very minimal. They had great stories of their time in Africa. They loved communicating with Africa. I was there about 14 years. And the time just passed. I just wondered where it's gone to. So I think we had about 70 deaths during all that time. Some of them now may not have died in St. Teresa's, but I go around the grave there and I look at all the names and I just say a prayer for them. Remember the rooms they were in and everything. And some of them, of course, had died abroad and some might have died up the country. I'd been to Kenya some years back through our own mercy services, but I had an opportunity to go to Liberia when I was in the SMA, and this was a great experience. We had an Archbishop Michael Francis in St. Teresa's, and then came the time for him to go back to Liberia. So Father Lee Cahill and myself were asked to accompany the Archbishop back to Monrovia. That was a great experience. He was wheelchair bound still, and we arrived in Monrovia Airport and they shouldered him high down from the plane, and I thought they'd let him fall after we bring him so far, but then there was a red carpet all the way onto a reception area for him. But Father Lee and I walked on the red carpet, but the bishop was taken by ambulance. And the ambulance arrived at the reception area where there were dignitaries waiting to welcome him. And these were government ministers now ready to receive him. He had been a great help to them during the civil war in Liberia. And they loved him really, and they gave him, we knew he was going to get a good reception, but this was more than expected. So even the next day then, the President of Liberia came to visit him. She was President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. There was great preparations and everything for her. I think it was that he was so involved with the local people in the Civil War, that he was a great support to them. The peace had occurred at the time, but they had great regard for him because of his help, the help he gave them during the war. Liberia at that time then was very much war-torn. There was no services there really, and there were bullets and bomb signs everywhere. And there was no refuse collection. I remember everything was on the streets. Of course, Father Lee Cahill was a local, almost a local in Liberia. He had spent some years there and he got a great welcome. Lots of people knew Father Lee. So we spent about 2 weeks there then. I trained in the staff. They had, it was next to the bishop's house. They had a lovely new premises built on for the care of the Archbishop. And all the parishes were going to support it financially. There were about 5 staff, I think, for day and night duty, all ready to be trained in as to what his care needs were and his medicines and all that. So we handed over the bishop to them. They gave him great care. He survived for another 7 years.
Since the early 1980s, Father Michael O'Shea SMA has had a deep interest in the life and work of the founder of the SMA, Belchior de Marian Breziac. He has travelled to many of the places associated with the founder, and he has always found him likeable, interesting and human. In a new publication, Father Michael believes that Marian de Breziac's values, such as a desire to evangelize in Africa, love for Christ and people, and simplicity of lifestyle, should be better known to all SMAs, and in particular to students and young members in formation, most of whom now are African. Another prolific writer is Father Tim Culnan, SMA, who has collected a rich fund of inspirational stories.
Well, my new book is Listen to My Stories. And for over 50 years, I have a box in my room and I've been collecting stories when I've seen a magazine or hear from somebody. I think stories are very important. Jesus knew stories plenty. Instead of saying God forgives you, he told the story of the prodigal son. And also, I have a quote from Zorba the Greek. It goes like this: "If only I could not open my mouth until the abstract idea had reached its highest point and become a story." that the world is full of abstract ideas in the church and every place, but the story, become a story. Stories speak to people, very powerful. Yes, and hopefully in my book, if you find one story that's life-giving for you, I'd be very happy.
Both books are now available at the reception offices at Blackrock Road and Wilton Parish Centre. Since the last edition of our SMA Journal, 2 SMA priests of the Irish province have gone to their eternal reward. Father Michael Kiely, who served in Nigeria and Ireland, died on the 5th of March, aged 93 years. And Father Matthew O'Connell, who served in Nigeria, Australia and Ireland, died on the 28th of March, aged 92 years. May their gentle souls rest in peace. Lent is a time to take time to let the power of our faith story take hold of us. A time to let the events get up and walk around in us. A time to intensify our living unto Christ. A time to hover over the thoughts of our hearts. A time to place our feet in the streets of Jerusalem, or to walk along the sea and to listen to His word. A time to touch His robe and feel the healing surge through us. A time to ponder and a time to wonder. Lent is a time to allow a fresh new taste of God. Give us courage, O God, to hear your word and to read our living into it. Give us the trust to know we're forgiven, and give us the faith to take up our lives and walk.